Hey, welcome back to the show, guys. Let's try and dial in Anthrax's awesome tone from Among the Living using the Marshall DSL20H and a few stomps on the floor. This is my very favourite Anthrax record. I just think the energy on it was cool, just the riffs, the pace, the down picking. It's just a really good rhythm guitar lesson the whole way, and Scott Ian, he just pummels through this, and it's just like a chainsaw of just down picking. Everything about the tone is just a really punchy, mid-focus, saturated tone, but it's got like a brittle high end, like a really high presence in there that's it just adds to that chunk, and it's just like a brutal shot every time they... And I just think it's just really cool. It's super iconic, ahead of its time for sure. That tone is probably a modern tone today. It's not something that you hear too much back then. Like a lot of the Bay Area and the thrash metal bands were scooping their guitars right out, but Anthrax was just mid-focused and heavy, like turn up all the frequencies and just see what happens. And it really is an aggressive sounding record. I love it. Just quickly discussing the gear that I'm using today, the guitars. This is my Jackson RR5. It's got the JB in the bridge and an SH2 in the neck, or the TB4. It's Japanese made. It's beautiful guitar. I've been playing it forever. I'm sure you all know it really well. And it's just got a really nice, thick, crunchy sort of tone to it. The other guitar I was using was my Jackson KVX on the wall, and that's got the Dave Mustaine, Seymour Duncan thrash factors in it. So between the two guitars, the tone hasn't changed. I've just got them panned left and right, and that's the tone that you get. Down to the DSL now, and the way that I've got it dialed in, it's more along the lines of a Peace Sells But Who's Buying tone. It's really got that thick mid-range and a fair bit of presence on the top end. And the presence on this is wound up full, and to counteract that, I'm just bringing the treble back. So you really get that, it's like a crunch on the outside, and then just bringing back the treble just so it's not in your face too much. All the rest of the EQ is fairly centered, though I've got the gain wound back a fair bit, and just to compensate, we're using the power tubes more, and I've turned the volume up just to give it that really thick sort of tone with not too much gain on the top end there. And that just gives us the bass line for this tone. I think it's pretty cool. So moving down to the pedal board now, I've got the Boss NS2 noise gate in the front end and effects loop using the 4-cable method. The diagram looks a bit funny, but that's just how it is to set this up, and it sounds really good for both. And so to the right of that, in the front end of the amp, I've got the Boss SD1 that I like to run like this. It just tightens up the whole front end. It takes a little bit of the bass out of the mix, but it just makes the guitars just have a little bit more punch and focus. And then going through the effects loop, I've got the Master Effects EQ from Hell. And this is just an amazing EQ. It's very simple, it's basic, it's not hard to get your head around, and each of the controls adjust the tone really dramatically. Parametric EQs are a little bit confusing just to have a look at, and you think that the mids are down and the trebles up. It doesn't work that way at all. The way that the frequency ranges impact those levels, it's hard to discuss and it's hard to talk about. It's easier just to use it and show you. Slider EQs, on the other hand, are very visual, and without comparing the two EQs, I just find a parametric EQ, I can really focus in on a certain frequency, almost like different rooms have different air and different microphones and things. The parametric can really just nail that without having to change up the rooms, without changing up microphones. You can really just focus and tone in different ways, and it just works well with me. You can't be visual with it at all. It's just using your ears, you look away and just move the dials. But so if you're listening this far, Hogan, that's exactly how I've captured the tone for today. I am going through the 2 notes Torpedo Captor X that's just simulating my 1936 212 cabinet here, and that's going straight through my audio interface and into Logic. So what I love so much about this era of music and this record in particular is it's just the actual intensity and the enjoyment, and they're all hungry and they're fighting each other and battling between the bands just to try and come up with the most aggressive, brutal riffs. And songs like Indians and Caught in a Mosh, they're just total rhythm workouts the entire way. And once you start playing and riffing out to them, they're just heaps of fun. Something you might notice, and I get questions on all the time, is just about down picking. And how do you do it? How do you keep up with it? Something that I do that really helps and keep up speed with songs like Caught in a Mosh, like that's pretty fast. I'll just put on a song like that, or Indians, or any Metallica song, and I'll try and keep up with it, but I won't try and be precise where I'm picking. I'll try and just use the entire strings. It'll be really messy sounding, you know, and I'll work it like that. And I'll try and pick through all the strings that I can, really exaggerate the entire movement of my hand. I don't just, not these little, if you try and exaggerate the whole movement of your hand, don't worry about how it sounds, it's just a warm up, and play through the whole song and your whole wrist will be moving, and for some reason that will just get the muscle memory really working. I could concentrate then on just the timing or just the notes and really focus on my playing rather than keeping up with a song. All that being said, guys, hoped I could help with anyone trying to dial this tone in, and till next time, take care. I'll see you next week.